Did you lose some plants during the recent freeze we had here in the Deep South? Well, I live in Central Florida, and, well, I have to admit, I'm the one that killed these plants. Out of ignorance, but I'm still guilty. I put 3 pots of tomato plants into my shed. 2 died, 1's living. Oddly enough, the bigger ones are the ones that froze. I don't know, maybe the level of the pot had something to do with it. And then I had 2 pots of papaya trees, 1 froze, and this one was really looking poorly, but it looks like it's recovering. So it didn't quite freeze all the way. I have another experiment out in the garden with my miniature greenhouse. I didn't think it would work, but it did. So I'm going to show you the things that did survive because I covered them, some things I didn't cover and they survived, and then we're going to go see about my greenhouse out in the garden. I think you're going to be surprised.
All I have needs, I have not provided.
So the thing that went wrong with my little tomato plants here is I took them inside because it was going to be just too cold without the miniature greenhouse holding the heat. And then I brought them back outside to get some sunshine during the day. But it's 70 degrees inside and it would be as low as 40 degrees outside, and that temperature change just wiped them out. They tried to recover the first couple of days that I did it, and then a few days later we had 3 days of 25 degree and 28 degree weather overnight. So of course they were inside, but then I took them outside trying to give them sunshine, and now I know you just don't do that. They can't go back and forth with that big of a shock. It's kind of like you northerners have to harden off your seedlings. I've never had to do that. So it's been suggested to me to try to nurse them along. My experience has been if they have a hard start like that, a really rough start, they're going to be sick for the rest of their life. This is one of my pineapple beds, and it's the only pineapple bed that I actually covered over with sheets. I figured it being out here, not being protected, it needed the extra protection of sheets, and that worked. It also has strawberries that are blooming, and the berries that are on the plants, though they're not ripe, they're still growing, they weren't affected at all. So the combination of being under an oak tree and having the sheets up over the top of these pineapple plants worked. I do have loquat trees. The fruit were frozen and they died, but the trees themselves are just fine, and I didn't cover those. So loquat trees will survive freezes up to 25 degrees, at least I know that now. But it's really curious why my other pineapple plants that weren't covered did just fine. I'm under the same oak tree, just a few yards away from the other bed that I just showed you, and most of these plants are just fine. You can see the butterfly bush wiped out. I think if I cut it way back, it'll be fine, it'll come back. But most of these pineapple plants, they're just fine. And I have noticed through the years that these plants never are affected by the cold weather, and they produce pretty well. So I think it's the combination of being under the oak tree, but also whatever heat could be coming from the home as well. So let me take you over to where I have some more pineapple plants that weren't covered. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 pineapple plants under the canopy of oak trees, completely out in the open. There's a pretty good breeze blowing across our acre of land. There's a tiny bit of damage here, but they're fine. It has to be the oak trees that have protected it. I have more down here. Here's a lychee tree, no damage at all. All these pineapple down here, no damage, all the way down. So I'm under the canopy of oak trees. I think they got shielded a little bit with this pile of compost, mulch, but I really think most of the reason why there's no damage is because they're under the oak trees. I've got just a little bit of damage on that one. That's it. That's the only damage I see here. So pineapple will grow under shade and they can be protected when it's cold. So you can see the bananas, they froze. So this whole tree I will eventually take down. As bad as these banana trees look, they're still green. They'll be okay. Now, one reason I don't trim my banana trees back is because they afford a little bit of protection against freezing. Now, I did wrap the, it'd be the northern side of these plants with a blanket. And I also had these buckets full of weed water to kind of help insulate them. That helped, but I really think they would have made it anyway. They look terrible now, but they'll come back up through the center. I planted these Seminole pumpkins at the bottom of a compost pile that is still raw, but I planted them here because I wanted them to have really good, rich soil. And they have sprouted out of compost piles before and did fantastic. So I planted them here on purpose. So what I did is I took a stick that's higher than the plants and I laid a blanket over the top of them. And as you see here, they suffered a teeny tiny little bit from the frost, but they survived great. 25 degrees, covered over with a blanket, getting heat coming off of the compost. One lesson we learned, if it's going to be freezing for any amount of time, you gotta leave the water running just a little bit. We knew to do that from the pump to the house because there's pipes exposed from the house or from the pump to the house. We knew to do that inside. I totally forgot to do that out here with the irrigation. So this pipe just completely splintered. And yeah, but I have a really good husband who got right on it and repaired it for me. So everything's good. So I brought these pots of dead plants out here so I could just put the soil back in the garden. These are the ones that didn't make it. But this is the surprise. So last night it was 31 degrees and 32 degrees for several hours. And this is what I do when I know it's going to freeze overnight. So the boards are to weigh down the blanket so it doesn't get blown over. And then I have the clear shower curtain over that. And before I open it up, I've got an instant read thermometer. I'm going to lay on the inside here, just out of curiosity how warm it is in there, even with the blanket on. Now, if you just have the plastic over the top, it will heat up even more. Here in Florida, you just have to be careful. Once it gets to about 75 degrees, you want to take the plastic off because it can get too hot inside the miniature greenhouse. So that is an instant read thermometer. I'm going to give it just a few more seconds and then try my best to get it out quickly. Now I have this netting on here because we were having grasshoppers eat seedlings. I don't think they're active right now, but I'm going to leave it on there anyway. Okay, let's get in there quickly and see. 78 degrees in here. Perfect. So this little miniature greenhouse is definitely worth it. If you want to learn how to make it, it's cheap It's easy. You only need a couple of tools to do it, and it works. I planted some tomatoes in here, I planted tomato seeds in here at the same time I planted the tray that I showed you, and they're putting out their true leaves right now. Now they're not going bonkers. They are taking their sweet time to grow, but they're surviving and they're green. I also, somewhere around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll fill this jug with kind of about the temperature you would bath water. And I think that helped hold the heat in too. Happy growing. See you tonight. I'm wrapping up my fall/winter garden throughout the month of February. I'll be harvesting some things and letting some of it go to seed because I love to save my own seeds. So I've got mustard, turnips, carrots, some broccoli. The onions stay year round. What else? I got bok choy that needs to be harvested. So it's going to be really busy. Not only am I going to be harvesting, but I'm going to be preparing the beds to plant by the first week of March. And all the oak leaves drop their leaves and I harvest those leaves because this garden loves oak leaves. I appreciate your valuable time. Why not subscribe and follow along with me throughout this whole season and grow some vegetables with me.
Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto